today we are going to learn about the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is a massive statue in New York City. It is on Liberty Island in what is called New York Harbor. Now, they called it Liberty Island after the Statue of Liberty got there, because the Statue of Liberty is the coolest thing about Liberty Island. It's actually a very, very small island in New York Harbor. Okay, so you might look at pictures and wonder, oh my goodness, how big is it? How big is this thing? Well, the statue itself is over 151 feet tall. This is a massive statue. Oh, huge. Now, you may not know this. The word liberty means freedom. The Statue of Liberty is a statue that celebrates the freedoms we all share. Now, there are symbols of freedom all throughout this statue. The torch itself that she carries represents freedom. And in the statue, she is stepping over broken chains. The Statue of Liberty is a statue of freedom. Hey, did you know the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France? How cool is that? The country of France gave us the Statue of Liberty. Pretty huge gift, a really generous gift. It cost them a lot of money to make. As you might have guessed, the statue was built in France, and Auguste Bartholdi sculpted the statue. This dude was like an amazing sculptor, right? Didn't he do a good job? And they did it out in the open because they wanted the people of France to get excited about paying for this statue, because it costs a lot of money to make. It's made out of copper, and it's a whole lot of copper. And so they built this thing in France. It was completed in 1886, which was actually 10 years after when they wanted to finish it. They wanted to finish it by 1876, the 100-year anniversary of when the United States became a country. I mean, wow. Even though it took longer to complete than they thought, what an incredible accomplishment. Just look at this statue made in the 1800s. Such an amazing gift from France. Wow. Who is this guy? Hey, get out of here. What do you think this is? Not gonna just show up here. My goodness. Oh boy. Okay. I'm sorry. That wasn't nice. How about this? We've got, this Statue of Liberty video. Why don't you help us out the last little bit? Okay? Okay, good. Well, the last thing we want to share with you is why the statue is green. Why is the Statue of Liberty green? Well, remember, the Statue of Liberty is made of copper. When copper is exposed to air and water, it can have a protective green coating called copper oxide. It's almost like it's a coat, it's a jacket to protect the copper called copper oxide. Here's what the Statue of Liberty's face used to look like, and that was the color of the entire statue. And then it looked like this. The Statue of Liberty is now covered in copper oxide. It took 30 years for the Statue of Liberty to turn completely green. Do you want to try something fun? You can take a penny. A penny is also made out of copper. And you can do the same thing to the penny that happened to the Statue of Liberty. You can leave it outside, and over time, that penny, as it's exposed to the air and to the water from the rain, it will be covered in copper oxide over time. That green protective coating, and you can see that happen for yourself. You can check back with that penny over time, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, you're turning green just like the Statue of Liberty. Abraham Lincoln can turn green too. Wow, the Statue of Liberty, a symbol of freedom in New York Harbor in New York City. A gift from France, a reminder of the freedoms we all share. For many people who came to the United States of America in search of a better life, the Statue of Liberty was the first thing that they would see. A statue of freedom for you and me. Wow, that rhymed pretty good. Wow, that was a good time. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you learned a lot about the Statue of Liberty, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. You are awesome. In the middle of the screen, you can see there's a button you can click to subscribe to our channel, or you can click one of these two boxes to watch a different video. But don't stop learning now. Go ahead, click.
Good afternoon, class. Welcome to our Thursday social studies lesson. Wednesday, we learned how to use a scale ruler. Today, in lesson 2, section 3, you will learn about the Statue of Liberty. Today, you get the fine opportunity for Ms. Bryant to read it to you. Make sure you're following along and using your pointy fingers. The Statue of Liberty. Do you recognize the statue in this image? This famous statue welcomes people to the United States. It stands for freedom. It is called the Statue of Liberty. Every year, many people visit the Statue of Liberty. If you visit this landmark, you can see the statue carrying a book and holding up a torch. The Statue of Liberty is 300 feet tall. You have to take an elevator and stairs to get to the top. The Statue of Liberty is on a small island in New York City. This huge city is in the state of New York, which is near the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean touches the east coast of the United States. How far do you live from New York City? So we have a worksheet to go along with our Statue of Liberty read. We will do this together. So at the top, you see it says Thursday. Over to the right, it says name. Make sure you put your name on your paper, please. Instructions read. Read section 3. We've already done that together. The Statue of Liberty. Where is the Statue of Liberty? Well, class, we answered that. The Statue of Liberty is in New York City. Label the dot on the map with the name of the place in its state. That's the first thing we're going to do. So on the map, we have Wisconsin. It's a little star. That stands for Milwaukee. And we have New York City over here. Draw a line from your community to that dot. Use your ruler to measure the distance between them. So I will use yellow from Milwaukee to this dot, which is New York. And then it says, complete the sentences below. The distance from name of my community, the name of our community is Milwaukee. That's the star here. Milwaukee. The distance from Milwaukee to the Statue of Liberty is about blank miles. So let's go from Milwaukee. We'll start at the star because that's where Milwaukee is. And we will go over to the dot. It's about 800 miles. The direction from name of my community, Milwaukee, to the Statue of Liberty is, so when we look at our compass rose here, the direction from Wisconsin to New York, we're going east. So on your paper, you would write east. Get a little closer for you guys so you guys can see everything. Move it up, and that says Milwaukee. If you guys have any questions, feel free to go back and re-listen to the video. You can press play and pause whenever you like. Thank you so much, class, for joining my Thursday social studies lesson. And I will see you next week, Monday. Have a great weekend.